Hey, this is Marcus Vanzant, and I am talking to Brody Crossin, who has been with me on and off for a couple of years here, and wanted to kind of discuss Brody's success he's had with our company and his own personal business and the partnership we've had, not only doing his own business and building that and what that looks like, but also that partnership he's had and we've had with Zillow and Zillow Flex and a lot of programs and systems. So just real quick off the jump, Brody started with me in 2020. You
Mhm.
came out of Indiana, moved to Florida. Didn't know really anybody in Florida. You had played football at IMG, came from college, Indiana, moved here, took the risk of doing real estate in 2020. So let's go back to that beginning a little bit and that risk you took originally. You had you weren't necessarily planning to go into sales originally as a career, were you?
Yeah, no, so yeah, I got a criminal justice degree, so my whole game plan was go in law enforcement after college, and just for personal reasons decided not to go that route anymore. And through one of my IMG coaches, that's how I got connected with you. And just, I still remember that first phone call that we had, and I kind of liked the vibe that I got from you, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. So yeah, and it's crazy, like looking back on 2020 to now, as far as just how we bring in business and how everything's done, because it's changed a lot in a good way. But yeah, because back in 2020, I still thought it was an awesome opportunity then, and we didn't even have Zillow Flex yet. And then fast forward 6 months after I joined, we get the opportunity, and yeah, it's just crazy to see how far we've come.
Yeah, and you helped launch that because we got started in January, and so you saw what it was like and the craziness was like in January to do all that kind of stuff. So,
Yep.
and then fast forward, you were doing some great business with us. Even then, I think in 2021, obviously just learning the business and still doing that, I still think you had some success. I can't remember if it was somewhere around $7 or $8 million in sales, and then
Hmm.
2022, I believe you got an opportunity because you had done so much new construction and your at that time future wife was working with an engineer, and you got an opportunity with one of the builders, I think it was Pulte, and you wanted to
Hmm.
go try that out, and went and did that. But once you did that, then you got married, right? And then the
Yeah.
twins came along,
Yep.
and I believe you realized you kind of wanted to not work corporate your entire life and want to build something for yourself. So, the reason for this interview is not only, because of Brody's success and stuff like that, but I mean, here it is, November of 24. You joined us again late October of
Hmm.
23, having been out of the business for about a year and a half. So
Hmm.
basically almost starting from scratch. So you were a partially experienced agent, right? You had a couple of years, but you took
Yeah.
a year and a half off, and obviously the market moved so quickly, and then you came back with nothing. So, and that was a fear thing. We talked about that, and and
Hmm.
also with the little ones you had and all that kind of, because they're just barely 1 year old now, right? They're about what, 1.5 or
Yeah.
not
One
even
and a
that,
half.
right? So
Just yeah.
but that fear of coming back. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, okay, you kind of knew what you were doing, but at the same time, starting from scratch again, that was a huge risk.
Yeah. Luckily I did have, I don't want to say comfort, but I would more so be confident in coming back, knowing that, okay, I did have some experience, and then knowing the opportunity with Marcus and Company as far as just lead opportunity. And it's one of those situations where, yeah, if you come in and maximize the opportunity, you can create the income you want. And so I was kind of in desperation mode when I came back to you. I'm like, I need to start making money now. And I think within, 30 days, I had my first deal back under contract, cash deal, and then it started snowballing from there into 2025 or sorry, 2024. And yeah, obviously 2024 has been a great year so far.
Yeah, and to speak on that, I mean, so far here we are just beginning in November, and you're at, I believe, 23 transactions and 10.7 million in pending. And with a lot of upward momentum into 2025, because 2024 has been a little bit of a train wreck.
Yeah.
So with the craziness in the election, with the interest rates, we thought they were going down, they went skyrocketing up. I mean, we were back
Yep.
into the sevens at some point. I think when you first joined us in October of 23, November was a train wreck because we went up to 8% interest rates. So it
Yep.
wasn't like it was when you first started 2020, 2021, where we were just turning and burning and, doing, rushing to sales. It was a lot harder.
Yeah.
And we got all through that. And then here we think we're going to have this amazing fourth quarter. And then boom, here comes, Helene and Milton to
Yep.
upset everything, and we losing deals and stuff like that. But through all that, what's so impressive with you and what you've been able to do, you mentioned it when you first came back, you were hungry. You had to make this work. You had a family to take care of.
Yep.
And since then, your wife has now been able to stay home with the kids and do all that. But, you know, that hunger part, can you kind of speak to that? We talk about our five pillars of agents that we're looking for our culture. it's hungry, humble, tech savvy, smart, and all in. But that hungry part is really, and you've got all those, but I mean, that hunger part,
Yeah.
if you come in here hungry, can you kind of speak to that on that's why you knew you could take the risk?
Yeah, and honestly, I think a good point to bring up as far as the hungry part is kind of to compare how I was before versus how I am this time around. And so, like, because I think this might resonate with a lot of agents, where before, I'd have a $15,000-$20,000 month, but we weren't married quite yet. We didn't have a whole lot of financial responsibility. So for me, I kind of took my foot off the gas back then because it's like, oh yeah, we're good. Now, I always kind of, well, I literally have to, but also like a mental note for myself is like pretend as if like I've got $0 in the bank account, because I got close to that point when I came back to you and I told myself I was never going back there. And so, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for why I'm hungry this time around, or hungrier this time around, I should say, compared to last time. And you really just gotta, even if you gotta tell yourself a lie of like, oh, I've got $0, even though you're well set up, like just telling yourself that and continue to have that hunger, that's what's going to continue to drive consistent sales, which is very rare in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to that, I mean, you had, I forget what month it was, but you had like, $55,000,
July.
rep month in July. It was July. You're going to remember it forever. Then lost some deals, but I mean, you still finished, I think, 25,000 or something like that. But I mean, that happens. And so, that's the thing here where we talk about, you'll come in and go, hey, I got 5 deals. I'm like, great. Where's 6 and 7 coming from? Because man, a hurricane can, we always talk about these, literal storms or these storms that can come, and we actually had them. So business can go away really quickly. And so it's always about growth, but always about opportunity. And let's speak to that really quickly, because I think that's the biggest thing I hear from agents is like, I don't have enough opportunity where I'm at. And what they mean is business, right? Sales, opportunity, things like that. We do things very differently. So we're really not count ourselves as realtors as much. I say that and it's kind of, but we're in sales. Can you kind of speak to that as far as what's really changed for us from like when you started in 2020 to now, where it's, those opportunities are coming in as preset appointments, and it's really the different skill set that you really have to have in order to do those sales.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I mentioned a little bit ago, back in 2021, shortly after I got started, we got the Zillow Flex opportunity. At the time, I was kind of like, oh, what the heck is this? Didn't really pay it much attention until I saw some other agents in our office like starting to get deals under contract pretty quick. I'm like, maybe I need to start taking that more serious. And then, Zillow Flex is a great opportunity that we have. Obviously that was a partnership that you were able to create for all the agents. And yeah, I think it's awesome just from the standpoint, it's literally leads you have calling into you. I mean, I don't know many industries that have lead generation like that. And, like anything, they're not always going to be the greatest quality. But with that being said, it's, how many at-bats can you get? And the fact that you've got the at-bats coming to you is a very rare opportunity in itself. And then fast forward to now, we're continuing to get more and more and better opportunities with Zillow because of how we're performing as a brokerage with them. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome, especially for, either brand new agents or agents that aren't happy where they're at because they're not getting the opportunity. It's a great place to kind of come in and hit the ground running. Obviously, we're commission based. We don't have a base salary. So Zillow Flex is kind of a nice thing, as long as you're going to obviously put in the work, but it is a nice thing to know that's there. Like, hey, okay, I'm going to have calls coming in. It's just a matter of me being available, going out and converting them.